Today I'm going to be talking about wiring in off-road lights, and then also just wiring in general for off-road vehicles, on-road vehicles. So the same things that I'll be talking about in this video should apply to most vehicles that you have. What's going on, guys? This is a 2007 Toyota FJ Cruiser. If you have any questions on the tires or the suspension, the fender flares, anything that's on this, I have videos on most of those things. Just videos either talking about it or me installing that. So if you want to check the links in the description, you'll see those videos, and they should answer most questions that you have about this. So as I said, this video is going to be going over wiring and different things that I had to do in order to wire this up for fog lights. So what I did is I actually made my own custom fuse and relay box. I bought one that was customizable. I didn't actually melt the plastic and make it. And then I've got this fat, I think this is 8 gauge stranded wire that's coming over and connected to my battery. So I do need to connect a fuse here at the battery, so that's something that will be coming up later. Now with the interior fuse box, I've tapped into the factory power, the factory ignition switch. So basically whenever you, I think most people know this, whenever you turn over to accessory, there's certain things that power on, and when you turn over to ignition, there's even more things that power on with the factory computer and everything. And there's ways that you can tap into that without doing too much of a rewire. If you were to probe around and take your voltmeter and poke around in your underneath in your factory fuse box, you'll find that some of the open fuse holes, some of them won't work at all. Some of them will work whenever you have your key turned to the accessory position, and other ones will work whenever you have it in the ignition on position. I cut off the bottom of a part of a fuse, and then I soldered onto the top of it so that I do have a fused wire that's somewhat concealed, and I don't have to tap into the back of the fuse box to do that. If I had multiple of these, I would go into the back of the fuse box. I've done that before. And this fuse that's in the bottom right is it's accessory switched on, and that's this one here. So whenever the key is in the accessory position, and then whenever it's turned also over into the ignition position, then it's on. I have a diagram that the link to that is also going to be in the description. The picture that I'm probably going to put on my webpage soon, so that should be up. That should be up soon. That'll show which one of these little fuse locations are always on, which one's ignition on, and then which one's accessory on. So with my switches, now the way I wire the switches really quick, coming off of this fuse that I just showed, it goes over here to I have this out like this because I'm waiting on a switch to come in the mail. It's just a on-off power switch, and that is going to be turning on my whole switch assembly that I have here. So the wire comes over here, and then it turns on the switches, but after that button is pressed, it also turns on the fuse and relay box that I just showed under the hood a second ago. So if we just show the back of this really quick, and what I'm using right there, as you can see, that big white wire is actually a Cat 5 Ethernet cable. I have plenty of that. So I use that to trigger on the relays, because the relays, they use such a low amperage, there's no way they're going to overload and burn out that 24 gauge wire that is going through the Cat 5 cable. So it's 8 little wires that are all bundled up nicely together, so I can use them for sure for this. And then this one's also going to the fuse box. That one's going to be the horn button whenever that comes in the mail. I have a little air horn that I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with. So it's going to go somewhere on this. But these switches are made to take the load of fog lights, and they're made by CH4x4. They have switches with little FJ Cruisers on them, also Toyota Tacomas and Land Cruisers and things like that. So, but anyway, they're good. I think they made this switch for me custom, and it didn't cost any extra. I just emailed them and said, hey, can you do a picture of this? And they just modified it a little bit, which is really convenient. It's nice that they did that. But Cat 5 cable runs all the way over here, and it goes to each one of these little relays. And if I could show the bottom of this, it's actually kind of messy, as you can see. But that's because there's a lot going on in here. With the reason it's just so messy inside of there, it's I wanted to keep everything as contained as possible, and there's a little cover that I can put on the bottom of that, and there's also a cover that goes on top of this fuse box. But each one of these relays is attached to one of these 10 amp fuses, and then this 30 amp fuse and this fat Toyota relay that I have right here is in front of all of these other relays. So this is the main relay that splits off to all these other relays and fuses. But the fuses aren't independent. The fuses are tied to each one of the relays. The reason that I just went to so much trouble in making this fuse box was because I wanted to make it the way that I wanted it. I could have bought a fuse box, or I could have bought just a bunch of relays like this and snapped the little housings together and plugged the relays in and just bolted them into something, because these all connect to each other and you can add multiple ones, which, hey, that's great, but I want it to look a little bit neater than that. So they do sell fuse boxes that are more together than this, and what I've done with other cars in the past is I pulled a fuse box from a vehicle in a junkyard and then just used that to wire it to however I wanted to wire it. But my goal is to run wires from here and then run them out, and as you can see, I've removed this cover because I will be running wires up there, and I've taken this little trim piece off that was on the top by the roof rack, and I'm going to run wire under this little channel in the groove that's inside this trim, and then up to my roof fog lights. I'm going to have forward facing lights, reverse facing lights, and then bumper lights here and here on the brush guard. So I'll be going through there's going to be separate videos on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run wire through here. If I could figure out how to run it without pinching, I'm going to run wire through here and then up the outside of this, underneath that cover, so underneath the weather stripping, and then I've got it going. I'm going to have it going in underneath this, and then routing back to my roof fog lights, and then the front fog lights. So the front roof lights. I don't have front roof lights yet, but whenever I get them in, they will be up there. Just to find something to buy, probably LED. Maybe I'll get some LED ones. My next few videos to come, I will be doing a review video on the fog lights, the bumper lights, and with those that actually came with its own switch, little clicker button that you don't really have anywhere to mount it. I'm going to cut all that stuff off and not use it, but I'll be using my own wiring. I'm not going to be using their wiring that they sent, because I don't want the button switch and all that stuff. I want it to be cleaner. I want my switches to be in the dash, so I'm going to be using my switch that I put in. And then I'm going to have another video on my my reverse fog lights, just because I have a backup camera that I put in, and then whenever I use my my backup camera at night, I want to be able to see more on the screen. So I can't really do that unless I have lights. It does a decent job of low light, but it'll do an even better job of shining back. And if I'm off-roading and I want to see more of what's behind me, the reverse fog lights will help me do that. Another thing that I like about the FJ Cruisers is, you know, they have with under the floorboards, there's a little bit more of a gap. So if you pop this up, this little threshold, little vinyl threshold, there's, like with most vehicles, there's a channel that you can use here. You can run wires in, but there's also on this, there's a little bit of a raised gap that's under the floorboard that you can run wires. Now, I don't know how far back that goes. That is an option for running wires to the back if you want to run wires under the floorboard and up to the roof, or if you want to run wires under the floorboard and down. Hey, anyway, I know I'm going to try to shorten this video up as much as I can, because I feel like it shouldn't be a long video, and it might get some down thumbs on this, but hey, thanks for watching this, and just for liking, subscribing. Make sure you leave a comment, suggested ideas, other ways that you found that you can run wire on the FJ Cruiser if you have an FJ Cruiser. But hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and God bless you guys.